Hello everyone, welcome to Nirja Education. This is class 8 science lesson number 2 microorganisms friend or foe. In this video we are going to discuss nitrogen fixation and nitrogen cycle. Before seeing this video, go through my previous videos, then only you will get the continuity. At the same time, please subscribe our channel. Don't forget to press the bell icon. Now, what is nitrogen fixation? The conversion of free atmospheric nitrogen into useful nitrogen compound is called nitrogen fixation. This nitrogen fixation is also called fixation of nitrogen. Once again I repeat, the conversion of free atmospheric nitrogen into useful nitrogen compound is called nitrogen fixation. This process also called fixation of nitrogen. There are the three methods of nitrogen fixation. The first one is atmospheric nitrogen fixation, second one is biological nitrogen fixation, third one is industrial nitrogen fixation. We have to study each and everything in detail. The first one is atmospheric nitrogen fixation. During rain, when the lightning strikes, nitrogen and oxygen both are combined in the atmosphere to make an electrical discharge and form oxides of nitrogen. Once again I repeat, during rain, when the lightning streaks occur, nitrogen and oxygen it is present on the atmosphere, both are combined in electrical discharge and form oxides of nitrogen. These oxides of nitrogen dissolve in rainwater and produce acids, that is that nitric acid. So NO2 is the oxide, it combined with water, it forms nitric acid HNO3. So when the oxides of nitrogen combine mixed with rainwater, it converts into acidic form, it is a nitric acid. It comes down to the earth and react with the soil. The soil already contains different type of alkaline salt, so the nitric acid react with salts of soil and it form the nitrates. This way the nitrogen is converted into nitrates. Once again I repeat, during rains when the lightning streaks, nitrogen and oxygen in the atmosphere, due to electrical discharge they combine, they produce oxides of nitrogen. These oxides of nitrogen mixed with rainwater, it converted into nitric acid. This nitric acid, when it is fall on the earth, it mixed with the soil contain alkaline salt, it converted into nitrates. This is called first method, atmospheric nitrogen fixation. Next method is called biological. Here the biological means with the help of living organism, the atmospheric nitrogen is fixed in the soil. That method is called biological nitrogen fixation. Some bacteria like BGA, blue green algae, it is also called cyanobacteria, rhizobium, acetobacter and clostridium. These all are helps to fix the atmospheric nitrogen into the soil. Now we know that blue green algae and rhizobium, but acetobacter and clostridium, these both are free living bacteria. It is present on the soil, at the same time it helps to fix the nitrogen on the soil. First we should know the blue green algae. The blue green algae examples Anaphina and Nostoc. So that is at Nostoc, NOSTOC, Nostoc and Anaphina. These both are examples of BGA, blue green algae. These two are helps to fix the atmospheric nitrogen into nitrates into soil. Next one is rhizobium. This rhizobium is act as a symbiotic bacteria. It present only in leguminous plant root nodules. So it needs host as well as food. So it takes from the leguminous plant. Instead of that, they will fix the atmospheric nitrogen into nitrate into the root nodules. So they will use the nitrates, at the same time the bacteria also get benefit from the leguminous plant. So this way the living organisms like microorganism helps to fix the nitrogen. The third method is called industrial nitrogen fixation. Industries or manufactures urea, ammonium sulfate as a chemical fertilizers. In first class also we discussed, in the first chapter also, chemical fertilizers. So that urea and ammonium sulfate also the chemical fertilizers, they are prepared in factories, industries. So these chemical fertilizers are using by atmospheric nitrogen. So this way the nitrogens can be fixed in the industrial process also. There are the three methods of nitrogen fixation. I hope you have understood. Next we are going to discuss on nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen is an essential element of protoplasm. What is protoplasm means? The cell contains cytoplasm. Inside nucleus contain nucleoplasm. The nucleoplasm as well as cytoplasm combined, it is called as a protoplasm. So the nitrogen is an essential element of protoplasm. It constitutes protein, amino acid, nucleic acid, etc. So that type of nitrogen present in the atmosphere 78%. So that nitrogen we have to convert it into nitrate forms, then only most of the plant and animal cells needed more amount of nitrogen. So that nitrogen we have to take from atmosphere and we have to use as a nitrogen cycle. So the nitrogen cycle, the cyclic movement of nitrogen element between living and non-living component of the biosphere is called a nitrogen cycle. So the fixing of nitrogen from atmosphere to soil, soil to living organism and living organism to again soil and atmosphere, this process is called, this cyclic movement is called a nitrogen fixation. This nitrogen cycle consists of 5 steps. The first one is nitrogen fixation, second one is nitrogen assimilation. N2 is a molecular formula of nitrogen. Then third one is ammonification, fourth one is nitrification, fifth one is denitrification. There are the 5 steps present in the nitrogen cycle. So first, why nitrogen is very important? Because all the cellular components are made up of nitrogen material. That is the reason nitrogen is very important to fix from atmosphere. It is consist of 5 steps. There is a nitrogen fixation, nitrogen assimilation, ammonification, nitrification and denitrification. What is nitrogen fixation? The conversion of free atmospheric nitrogen into useful nitrogen compound is called nitrogen fixation. As we all know that this is also called fixation of nitrogen. First we have to fix the atmospheric nitrogen. Already we discussed that due to rain, during the time of rainy, that time the lightning streaks or in the atmosphere, the nitrogen and oxygen combine, it converted into nitrates, the nitrate mixed into the water, it converted into nitric acid, then it fall on the earth, it mixed with the alkaline salt, it converted into nitrates. That nitrates are absorbed by plant. So that plants can be used the salt in the form of nitrates. So that is called the nitrogen fixation. Next one is nitrogen assimilation. Plants absorb nitrates from the soil. That nitrates are inorganic substances. So what is mean by inorganic substances means the substance which come from non-living things. So it is come from the atmosphere, so that nitrates are inorganic substance. That substance absorbed by plant. So in the form of nitrates or ammonia, the two are called inorganic substances from the soil and use them in the synthesis of amino acid, protein, nucleic acid and other nitrogenous compound. So once again I repeat, nitrogen assimilation means plant absorb nitrogen compound in the form of inorganic salt like nitrates and ammonia. This ammonia, once it is absorbed inside the plant, it converts into protein, amino acid, nucleic acid and other nitrogenous substances. This process is called nitrogen assimilation. Inorganic substances is converted into organic substances. Nitrates is converted into protein, amino acid, etc. Next process is called ammonification. So what is mean by ammonification means decomposition of protein and other nitrogenous compound into ammonia. So first process what? Assimilation. So nitrates are converted into protein, amino acid, everything. Now the protein, amino acid, nitrogenous compounds are converted into ammonia or ammonium salt. So this process is called ammonification. This process carried out by certain fungi and bacteria in the soil. The microorganism decompose protein into ammonia. This process is called ammonification. Once again I repeat, ammonification, decomposition of protein and other nitrogenous compound into ammonia. This is carried out by certain fungi and bacteria in the soil. This microorganism decompose protein into ammonia. This process is called ammonification. The next process, fourth process is called nitrification. The process of conversion of ammonia into nitrate. Now once again what happened? That ammonia is converted into again nitrate or nitrogen component. That process is called nitrification. So the process of conversion of ammonia into nitrate, this is called nitrification. This nitrification can done by certain bacteria, that is called the Nitrobacter. It is one bacteria, Nitrobacter. Another one is Nitrosomonas. These two bacteria involved for the fixation of nitrogen. So nitrification means ammonia is converted into nitrates, that is called the nitrification. The last process is called the denitrification. The conversion of nitrates present in the soil or water into free molecule of nitrogen is called denitrification. Once again the nitrates are converted into nitrogen. So it is go back to the atmosphere. That process is called the denitrification. This process can done by the help of one bacteria. That bacteria is called Pseudomonas. Pseudomonas is a bacteria. This bacteria is also called a denitrifying bacteria. Once again I repeat, the nitrogen cycle consists of 5 steps: nitrogen fixation, nitrogen assimilation, ammonification, nitrification, denitrification. Nitrogen fixation, atmospheric nitrogen fix into nitrate, that is called a nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen assimilation means the fixed nitrates are absorbed by plant and converted into inorganic substances, converted into organic substances. Nitrates and ammonia converted into protein, amino acid, nucleic acid, etc. This process is called nitrogen assimilation. Third one is ammonification. So protein is converted into nitrogenous substances, converted into ammonia or ammonium salt. That process is called ammonification. This process can done by the help of certain bacteria and fungi in the soil. Right, next one is nitrification. So nitrification, the ammonia is converted into again nitrate. That process is called nitrification. This can be done by two bacteria. One is Nitrosomonas, another one is Nitrobacter. Last step is denitrification. The conversion of nitrates into free molecules of nitrogen. This process is called denitrification. This can be done by the bacteria, that is called Pseudomonas. Pseudomonas. This bacteria is also called the denitrifying bacteria. I hope you have understood nitrogen fixation and nitrogen cycle. Thank you. Have a nice day.